Jimmy Mendez had always been the kind of man people trusted. He grew up in a modest home, the eldest of 3 siblings, known for his quiet nature and reliability. His father worked long hours at a printing shop, and his mother dedicated herself to raising the children with strict values, discipline, honesty, and pride in appearances. In their household, the neighbors' opinions carried weight. What others saw mattered. A tidy house, polite greetings, and smiles at gatherings were not optional, they were mandatory. Jimmy absorbed those lessons early on. By the time he was in university, he had built a reputation for responsibility. Friends came to him for advice, professors praised his diligence, and his family leaned on him as the dependable one. Yet beneath that calm surface lived a young man who longed for connection, someone who dreamed of a partner who could see the quiet strength he carried. When he met Isabella at a mutual friend's party, it felt as though that dream had arrived. She was magnetic. Her laughter filled the room. Her presence drew people like moths to a flame. She noticed Jimmy, asked him questions, and for once he wasn't the background character but the focus of attention. Within months, everyone around them was talking about how perfect they looked together. Even his mother, cautious by nature, said with approval, "Jimmy, she's a gem. Hold on to her." And he did. They married within 2 years, the wedding a grand affair filled with smiles, photographs, and endless congratulations. Jimmy felt proud. He thought he had built the life he always wanted. But perfection has sharp edges when seen up close. At first, the cracks were almost invisible. Isabella would forget to mention family dinners. When Jimmy didn't show, his relatives shook their heads at him. "You should pay more attention," they said. He forced a smile while Isabella stood beside him, pretending to be equally surprised. The interruptions came next, her voice cutting across his in conversations, her laughter light but edged, making him appear forgetful, distracted, even foolish. To friends, it seemed playful. To Jimmy, it was corrosive. He brushed it aside at first. Everyone had flaws, he told himself. Maybe she was just stressed from work. But as the months turned into years, the pattern grew. Isabella painted him as absent-minded, overly sensitive, even unstable, while keeping her own reputation spotless. The world adored her. Jimmy felt himself shrinking, little by little, until even his own voice felt fragile. He tried to share his unease. One afternoon, sitting with his brother Julian at a cafe, he stirred his coffee and spoke softly. "Something isn't right, Julian. She makes me feel like I don't exist." His brother leaned back, offering a sympathetic smile. "You're overthinking. Isabella adores you. Maybe you're just tired from work." Jimmy wanted to believe him, but the weight in his chest told him otherwise. His sister Claudia was sharper. When he confided in her, she folded her arms, unimpressed. "You're a grown man, Jimmy. If you have problems with your wife, fix them. Don't complain like a child." Even Esteban, his closest friend, brushed him off with a laugh. "Your marriage is enviable, Jimmy. People would kill for what you have. Stop inventing drama." The words burned more than silence ever could. Slowly, Jimmy stopped trying. The turning point came through his health. He had lived with a heart condition since his 20s, something he managed carefully with daily medication. One evening, while preparing his pills, he noticed they didn't look quite the same. He shrugged it off at first, assuming the pharmacy had changed suppliers. But when his heart began to race uncontrollably, panic surged. Something wasn't right. He confronted Isabella cautiously. "These pills look different. I don't feel well." Her reaction was quick, too quick. She widened her eyes in mock surprise. "Jimmy, how could you even think that? Maybe your doctor needs to change your dosage. You're imagining things." But Jimmy's instincts told him otherwise. For the first time, he realized he needed to protect himself. He began to keep quiet records. A phone left running on the table. Notes hidden in drawers. Photos of small inconsistencies. What he gathered wasn't shocking in a single blow. It was relentless in accumulation. A pattern of manipulation, dismissal, and subtle control emerged. She twisted events until he seemed forgetful, unstable, or weak. When he showed bits of it to others, the same excuses came. "Everyone argues. She must have had a bad day. You probably provoked her." The words felt like a verdict before any trial could begin. And then came the cruelest twist. Isabella turned the story around. She whispered to others that Jimmy was controlling, unstable, even dangerous. One evening, she arrived at his mother's house, tears streaming, her voice trembling with accusations. His mother, eyes clouded with sorrow, looked at him. "I raised you better than this, Jimmy. You need help." That night, Jimmy sat alone, staring at the wall until dawn. The weight of disbelief crushed him, but beneath it, a spark of resolve flickered. If no one else would fight for the truth, he would. The day he entered the courtroom, he carried more than files and recordings. He carried 3 years of survival. To him, they were a lifeline. To the court, they were cold evidence, subject to rules and objections. Isabella sat across from him, angelic in appearance, serene in demeanor. Her lawyer dismantled his claims with practiced ease. Out of context. Unreliable. Imagined. The judge looked weary, his eyes drifting with boredom. Jimmy's heart pounded as he took the stand. His voice shook as he recounted the years of doubt, the isolation, the fear. He presented his recordings. The judge shook his head. "Mr. Mendez, these recordings cannot be admitted without proper authorization." It felt as if the floor crumbled beneath him. 3 years of pain dismissed in seconds. He looked at Isabella. She smiled, serene, victorious. Desperation clawed at him. "She's lying," he blurted. "She knows exactly what she did." Her lawyer objected instantly. But then it happened. Isabella leaned toward her attorney, whispering, certain no one else would hear. Yet the court reporter's fingers moved swiftly, capturing every syllable. "He'll never prove anything about the pills." The words changed everything. The courtroom air shifted, tense and electric. But Jimmy's body, worn down by years of strain, collapsed under the pressure. His vision blurred, and he fell. He awoke 3 days later in a hospital bed. His brother Julian sat beside him, tears streaming down his face. "Forgive me, hermano," he whispered. "You were right. Everything came out." She confessed in court. They found the proof. The puzzle, long denied, finally fit. The recordings, the inconsistencies, her slip of the tongue, all of it revealed the truth. Isabella was arrested. Charges were filed. The marriage dissolved swiftly, a permanent order ensuring she would never approach him again. His family, once doubtful, now ashamed, stood before him with apologies. Jimmy, drained, no longer carried resentment. Freedom was enough. In the months that followed, Jimmy rebuilt slowly. The silence of his home felt strange at first, empty, yet safe. He returned to routines, to his books, to evenings where peace replaced fear. His heart, fragile as it was, grew stronger with each passing day. He realized something profound. The heart that had once betrayed him with weakness had, in the end, saved him. His collapse in court had brought everything into the light. Without it, the truth might have remained buried. Now, when Jimmy tells his story, he does so not with bitterness, but with hope. He speaks quietly but firmly. If you are living in silence, don't doubt yourself. Don't let the world convince you that your pain isn't real. Document, trust your instincts, and never stop fighting. Because sooner or later, the truth always comes to light. And those who hear him understand. Behind his calm voice lies the strength of a man who survived not just a marriage, but disbelief, isolation, and silence. His story is no longer one of suffering, but of resilience. If you're facing something similar, remember, you are not alone. Seek help, reach out to resources, and know this, you deserve far more than suffering in silence. If Jimmy's story moved you, remember, you are never alone. Somewhere out there, someone is fighting the same silent battle you might be facing right now. Share this story, spread awareness, and help break the silence around hidden struggles. Subscribe for more powerful stories that inspire strength, courage, and hope, because every voice matters, including yours.